you, Chance.
All right. I think we're going to welcome, yes, Director Spencer. Great to see you.
Seventh inning stretch or something.
We've decided to pummel through.
Power through. Okay. I have my presentation with Mr. Garrett is helping me get it loaded and shared.
Hi, Garrett.
I already did.
I saw his name up there and I was like, he's at home for this? That's weird.
He said he would help me with the tech part. Like I put the presentation together and I was so accustomed to working on my computer with multiple screens and I'm like, I'm not sure I can do all this. So thank you, Garrett, for hooking me up so I can share with you all the great materials I've put together for you. So there's a lot of materials in this packet. And so I kind of expect that you're actually going to read this between now and next week because I've got some hyperlinks in there that will help you kind of understand some of the context as well. Because there were some questions that came in for Christy that were kind of well answered by one of the articles that is in here. What you'll hear a lot of people who talk about the Opportunity Zone program, they're like, well, seek advice from your tax advisor. I am not a tax advisor, so admittedly, this is not my area of expertise. What I'm most good at is land use planning and setting up community vision and where is our growth going to go and looking for opportunities that how do we realize that growth. And that's what opportunity zones are. So the opportunity zone is basically a way for long-term investment to improve distressed communities. And we have this great program and this opportunity right now that actually I didn't think we would ever see again. We did this back in 2018 and it was a one-off deal. And on the slide, we have what was now it's been named Opportunity Zone or Oz 1.0. And the Downtown Regional Center was designated under this program. And it expires in 2028. There's no extensions available. This is it. So when the downtown zone is done, it's just done. Of course, it wants to do updates. No.
My goodness.
I don't know how to click on it.
It's like start now or let it get surprise you.
No, we do not want it to surprise. How do we click out of it?
Yeah. And is this a phishing?
Yes.
Is this
Yes.
after our cybersecurity training, we got to
Come back.
Well, I don't know.
And I'll just keep talking. So basically 2026, this year, the feds announced a new program that it's 2.0. And the 2.0 program is they have selected a lot different criteria for census tracts. Bremerton has, and I gave this overview 2 weeks ago, 7 tracts that are eligible, but there's really only one that meets the criteria. And I'll go through that in the slide deck here. And the next slide that I have after this one that was up on the screen is a comparison of 1.0 to 2.
Yeah, we do have
it. You got it on that. And my iPad didn't have charge. Basically, a lot of the criticism of the 1.0 program, the primary criticism is there was no reporting. There was no accountability for it. They found that there was a lot of millions of dollars worth of investment in creation of new housing and that kind of opportunity, but there was no real reporting. The benefits of having this is basically it attracts the investments that you've already visioned in our comprehensive plan and our sub-area plan for Harrison Heights, as well as East Park. East Park's already built out, so it's really not something that we're going to realize any kind of growth from. But what's great about the census tract is that it does include East Park because we can demonstrate to the in the application process that we actually have had some projects and there is some success. So that'll be part of the stories that we tell. But really about getting this is what we want is the more housing that's developed within the tract. And Department of Commerce, and that's linked in the bottom of this the bottom right of this slide, has a really great website that has all sorts of overviews. So you can click that link and it'll take you there. So I kind of hit on 1.0 versus 2.0. 1.0 was supposed to be temporary. We never thought we'd see it again. It was there was a very limited eligibility map, and the downtown was designated and it's going to expire. This new one is a permanent program. We expect that there will be opportunities for future census tracts that will be identified by the feds. And there is even mention that we could redesignate. So if we're seeing good successes in this Harrison Heights area, if we're successful, then we could potentially be redesignated. Way more better, tighter rules about eligibility of the distressed communities, and a real focus on that, trying to make a lot of improvements. And again, this accountability and reporting so that we have measurable outcomes from investments. And so there's this really great innovation group report, and that's what's linked there on the right. So if you really want to get into the details about how the investments work and all of that, I highly suggest this article. It's one of the best that I found in the research of just trying to do this comparison for you. The proposed designation, what is it that we're proposing? And what we're proposing is the census tract that includes Harrison Heights, East Park, and small parts of neighborhoods nearby. That census tract is abbreviated as the 803. So census tracts have very long numbers, but you can see that it ends with 80300. So the common term would be the 803 census tract. It's shown as Exhibit A in your proposed ordinance. And basically it stretches from Sheridan to down south to East 16th. And I think it's Perry Avenue on the west, or on the east side, and then Warren Avenue on the west. The Washington State application process requires the local government to take action to authorize the application, and they suggest that you do so with a resolution. And that resolution, when you're passing a resolution, it also allows an additional opportunity for public comment. So we're recommending that you bring this forward and take public comment on the resolution. We have a really great story. Our comprehensive plan has just been completed. Our sub-area planning process, both of those things had a high level of public engagement. We determined where the growth was going to come. So we have a good story to tell about public engagement, and this will just help kind of seal the deal as we prepare the application. Why is this census tract chosen? And there's 3 criteria that Department of Commerce has established, and that's community need. Is it ready? And this is going to do it again. How'd you call it here? Could you do it with finished? Oh, is it doing in the background? Yeah. Hopefully it doesn't reboot your computer. The community need, the most significant is that Harrison Hospital site is 7.5 acres. It's been demolished. It's for all practical purposes, a greenfield site with infrastructure ready to support it. And that's significant. I'm not sure that there's any other census tracts out there in urban areas that have that kind of vacant opportunity development for transformation. We have a market readiness test, which is, do we have permits that have happened in the area? Yes, we do, thanks to East Park, but we also have the Sage apartments that were completed. They want you to look back about 3 years, and this occupancy back in 24, I think it was. So we're still doing all the data and the research and kind of the analysis of which parcels to highlight, because Department of Commerce is not going to let us choose very many of them to highlight to tell our story in our application. So we're trying to choose the best ones. We know for certain that we'll highlight the vacant Harrison Hospital site because it will be a transformation of the district for sure. We also have permits and pre-submittal conferences that have come in for this area, that the permits have been sitting here waiting since 2024, and they aren't moving forward because they don't have investment. So they're basically on hold. So that's the Babel project that I think some of you have heard about. So we have permits that are complete, but then permits that are in this kind of in-between space that they can't move forward because they don't have private investment, despite permits that are ready to go. And the policy alignment test, as I mentioned before, we've done extensive outreach for the public process to develop the Harrison Heights plan, our comprehensive plan update. We have the market study and the planned action EIS that goes with Harrison Heights. And all of that is available on the city's website. Christy, you had asked the question, can you get a hold of those? And we have those all up on the city's website if you want to take a look at them. And basically, despite the strong potential, I think an opportunity zone designation would help overcome some of the challenges of getting investment and actually achieving some of the housing goals that we've established. Also, part of the readiness, there's a massive amount of public investment that has occurred within a 10-minute walk shed. And this is the Exhibit C to the ordinance, shows everything that's a community asset within close distance of that, from schools and Boys and Girls Club to planned bus rapid transit, the walkability. So there's a lot that tells a really good story about why this census tract. Addressing a common criticism, we will hear oftentimes that opportunity zone is just going to benefit wealthy investors. And in reality, the opportunity zone designation doesn't determine the outcome. The council, has already determined the outcome. You have a comprehensive plan that guides growth, and you've got your sub-area plans that say, this is what we want, and this is where we want significant housing growth. Private investment is required to achieve that vision. So it's not just benefiting wealthy developers, it's going to achieve our housing goals to make sure the more housing we have, the better off we're going to be. And which is what the last bullet is we've already set the local policy for growth and the community priorities. So you've done a tremendous amount of work with that. The application timeline, it's been pretty tight. This program was just created this year, and the Treasury published the eligible census tracts on April 6th. Department of Commerce just opened the application window on the 28th of April. I had to prepare the resolution here for all of you and get that submitted last Monday, but the pre-submittal conference to review what was necessary for an application happened May 7th, Thursday. So we've just been kind of, going as fast as we can, where we don't have all the data yet for the application because it closes on the 28th of May. And then the governor will be reviewing and submitting to the U.S. Treasury sometime between July 1 and September 28, which ones they're going to select. And there's a mention that there's extension to October 28th for him to make those submittals. I'm assuming that gives us, maybe they'll come back to us and ask for more data if we're one of the selected ones. And then by January 1st, 27, that's when they'll be made official by the Treasury office. The financial impact of the city to endorsing this application is minimal cost. It's my time, Garrett's time, to prepare some maps and do some of the data analytics about opportunity sites for development. No local funding is required, no new tax burden, and basically the upside is that this could leverage private investment to get our plans actually built. So the bottom line, relatively small staff effort, it could turn into big results for the city. And we've already got endorsements. It's one of the first things that I focused on is working with some of our community partners to see if they would support us in this application. So in the packet are 3 support letters from the Board of Commissioners, the KEDA, as well as Virginia Mason, indicating their interest in selling their property so that we can realize the vision of the Harrison Heights plan. And staff recommend that you pass the motion. So the motion that's up on the slide is just the one that's copied out of your packet. And we just want to move forward to be able to attract more private capital to move forward with the plans that we've already established. And that's the conclusion of my presentation.
Council, Jennifer.
Well, I know that this is exciting. It's another tool in the toolbox to fill in
The crater.
The crater. I still want to see the picture of you, but I wanted to kind of just do a quick check-in as we are hearing about all these grants, which is not a grant, this is the designation. Are we at risk of having to? I mean, I guess this is a tax designation, so whoever purchases this is going to get like a tax. Can you explain how it works? And
so again, I'll preface with what I said before. I am not a tax advisor, so it's about investments of your tax return and what you pay federally. So you get to defer some of what
Great.
the capital gains are. So it's not property tax at all. It's all related to taxes on
Income.
investments. It's income.
And so I guess since it's coming from the feds, are we at risk of anything with not being able to receive this? I mean, who are we competing with?
So the other in Kitsap County, there's 2 other tracks that are designated for option to apply, and they're in
Okay.
Port Orchard. So Port Orchard is seeking, of their 2 tracks, they're applying for one of theirs because
Okay.
one of theirs appears to match. So the governor can choose 25% of what has been designated in the state of Washington. So
Okay.
it's quite a number. So I expect
That's
that
a lot.
it's a lot.
Is that the-
Correct, yeah.
It's a lot of
It's
tracks.
the higher number of tracks, not the qualifying tracks.
It's the, whatever of the qualifying tracks, they can choose 25%
Okay,
of the
so
qualifying.
like you said, we had 6 or 7.
Yeah.
But then,
We're
so not
only
that
choosing
number,
one. Yes.
but we have 6 or 7 tracks that would be eligible, but only a few qualified, or just one qualified?
In my estimation, this is the only one that meets the Department of Commerce's criteria. So we could apply for the other ones. I don't think that they have a strong
I guess what I'm
story.
trying to ask is, do the other ones count towards the higher number that the percent?
So we're choosing, so the math is really easy for Port Orchards. Port Orchard is choosing 50% of their tracks because they're
Right.
nominating one, where if ours is 5 or 7, and I can't remember because some of them are in Bremerton, but they're in the county as well. So we're only choosing one of the 5 or 7 we have available to us. So we're choosing less than 25%.
And so I think my overarching question is, do we have any other grants or any other activity with the Department of Commerce where we've been requested or required to sign anything? Okay, thank you.
They're not brand
Yeah.
new.
Yeah.
I can understand.
I have not heard anything that is this on that issue, but if things change, we'll let.
Thank you. That's it.
Christie? Do you have any
I
questions?
appreciate, so just so everybody knows, at like 9 something at night, I sent Anne a list of questions on Monday at 9 o'clock at night. And I noticed the answers to some of those questions in that presentation. So like that, and actually very, very remarkable that I'm sitting there like, oh, that was my question.
GCD
Like
is amazing.
that, yeah, that you could see that those questions were in there. So I really appreciate that. And I felt everybody needed to know that, like, I did that to you. I sent that on Monday at 9 p.m.
You're the problem.
Right?
No, I think
It's
you
me.
prefer that. I do. Yeah.
So, yeah, I just wanted to say that, like, just going through that, I was like, oh, there's that. Oh, there's that thing. So that was, my weekend was spent in this opportunity zone thing, and they have an amazing FAQ. And that's how I knew there was 98 tracks that the governor can look at. Like, it's like a 9-page question and answer thing that they have on here, which is pretty extensive.
So we haven't filled out the application yet because we're working on parts of it, but there's, so I don't have all the data of the projects and that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
we were
because
looking
that
for.
was just the kind of the questions that were there were more geared towards the fact that the resolution itself kept saying there's multiple places where it's like city council finds, and then it would give some data or statistic, and it's like city council finds, and I was like, I'm literally finding nothing. And
Right.
like,
And it's because I was hopeful, so I wrote this before even the pre-application conference to learn really the details of the application. And so I'm hopeful that the broad statements and the whereases in there is basically we attach that to our application that is all that data that will tell the story of the permits that we've issued and are doing well, and then the permits that are sitting here approved and waiting because there's no private investment to make it move forward. So that's why it's hopeful and why I wrote the whereas the way.
yeah. No, because that's my only thing. One of the things that makes me sad, and I'm defensive of this area. As much as I love your crater, I want your crater to be whatever it's supposed to be in life. Like it has a journey, and we are all on it. But it's the continuation of the narrative that people wouldn't want to invest here in Bremerton, or people wouldn't want to have housing, and we have to make it attractive for them.
Yeah.
And this is something that is continuously disheartening to me, and a narrative that if that is the only thing that I can stop while I'm here in city council is the creation of that narrative and doing things like this that to me is publicly saying people don't want whatever, there was a hospital there. It just is no longer there. So, and that has happened since I've been up here and I've only been here a hot minute. So, it really makes me sad that we're looking at things like this, that it's like, well, how do we attract somebody? Because then the opposite side of that is that we are then unattractive and we need to, make ourselves more attractive. And so that's one of my biggest issues when it comes to, anything like these opportunity zones, the MFTE, these continuous things that we keep doing of trying to beautify ourselves so that someone will love us. And my thing is, I love Bremerton. And if you can't figure out as an investor that this is the place to be, that's on you. And I can't wait for you to look at your portfolio and say, I should have invested what I could have. And so that's kind of disheartening to me. And that's something that, like I said, I would love to have that narrative kind of stop with this, because it really does. There's so many projects, and I know that you guys are inundated with permits and things that, our local folks are beautifying Bremerton, and they are living and working and have businesses in Bremerton that are amazing. And they are hitting a lot of barriers and a lot of issues. And I just wish that there was as much emphasis and beauty and all that poured into those folks who live and are currently going through some of these business processes as these folks that are nebulous investors that probably do not reside here. Because if you resided here, you would know that you want to build in Bremerton because this is where it's at. So that to me is that narrative where it's like, I would really love for emphasis to be on those folks that are moving us forward and ahead here and trying to figure out the barriers for that, and less emphasis on how do we create, because this one's for investors. The MFTE was for developers. And so there are these huge projects that are happening that it's like, but what are we doing for the folks that are here slugging it out right next to us? Those folks that are at the grocery stores that are trying so hard to open up businesses or do things. And so much as I don't want to poo-poo on this, it is hard for me to look at those kinds of things. And again, I feel like it's continuing that narrative that I do not want to be a part of. Like, I'm the newbie. Everybody here has lived in Bremerton for a long time. I'm the last one to catch on that this is absolutely the place to live. So I get a little passionate about it.
She's got the Bremertonian chip on her shoulder.
And I love it. And but I also know that when these kinds of opportunities come,
and it's 10 years.
It's 10 years.
One and done kind of thing.
It's all done. And if we don't take advantage, shame on us.
Yeah.
Positioning ourselves so that we could have every possible tool. I would love more tools for small business and to make it so people had more capital to build new structures for their budding businesses.
And our aging buildings that we already have existing.
There's nothing more green than taking care of what you got. And I believe in that very strongly. But I also am sort of stuck that I see these kinds of things, and I know that we want to move the city forward. And the Opportunity Zone had a very good impact in downtown because there was projects that were developed that may not have even moved forward, but for having Opportunity Zone designation.
I just wanted to add something, a quick caveat. There is nothing precluding us from creating tax incentives for things like that. So, I mean, other than a budget deficit. But I mean, when we have talked, and being the newbies, we have talked about there could be in this, and I'm sorry, it's not germane, I'm going to be real quick. We've talked about creating programs for, like for light, for vacant buildings and things like that. And we can still, and I would love to continue that conversation. I think in finance, because Michael was the one that kind of brought it up.
That Main Street designation should help.
I mean, there's so many other tools, and it's just one tool in the toolbox, and you're gonna hear that over and over and over. But I would love for a discussion to come back up, maybe on finance, about tax incentives for empty buildings. Or, I don't know, I'm sure it's a discussion. Michael probably has opinions, but we'll talk about it.
Well, I think you know how much I love this. It was like Director Spencer came back and the gates opened. I've been really worried about my district, and I remain concerned for my district because of the lack of development of that area. And this, for people that aren't aware, this isn't benefiting, only the wealthy. There are many private investors that are individuals, or a family, that decide to invest in a project. And this is what attracts them. Investment companies sometimes don't jump onto this unless they think they can shop it to their investors. But when we have local investors or local developers, which we do, that are interested in that property, but they can't raise the money to do it, this is exactly what will help. So I'm convinced of that. I think this is really going to make a difference. And I think they're probably just waiting for us to make this happen. So thank you. It's great to have you back. Garrett did a great job while you were gone, but we did miss you. And if this goes through and is beneficial, and I see a housing going in there, let's call it the Director Spencer housing, or I don't know. But thank you, Andrea, truly from the bottom of my heart. The big deal.
We'll be on general business next week then.
Yeah.
Put it down rather than consent.
Well, I recommend that you do general business.
Yeah.
Public comment.
Yeah.
I don't know, does that fit in with your new rules?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Definitely. And I think you're right, and it will demonstrate even more.
Yes.
The public input continuing. Yeah.
You just missed coming to our meetings. So now you're making it for last time. We miss you too.
Thank you.
Good to see you.
Okay, well, thank you, Director. All right, we've just got general counsel business of